Hi friends, welcome to my channel. This is Good Morning Tom. I'm sitting right beside my bookshelves, my poetry bookshelf, because I am going to be talking about the books I've read this summer. Summer break's officially over. I have to start going back to work again. So this is kind of like a reading wrap up for this summer. So let's start right now. So I'm sitting right beside my poetry bookshelf. You can't see all of it, but I just thought it would be nice to do this in front of the bookshelf. So I'm going to be talking about the books I've read this summer. I think I've read these collections. I actually read a couple more, but I think I forgot a few, so I will take them out later. Let's just start with the first one. So I read this collection by Arthur Collins. Absolutely loved it. It was really good. It was a pleasure to read. I think I've read this in like 3 days. It's pretty difficult. So if you're not used to reading poetry, you might want to just store this for later, but great collection of poetry. Then I got this book. Great. Loved it. The image she creates are very original. The way she thinks about things is very original. Wasn't very hard to read, so you might want to just check this out if you're not used to reading poetry, because there are some beautiful lines in here. Definitely worth checking out. This is the only collection I have of her, so I would definitely be buying more of her poetry. This one I didn't finish. I didn't really like it. It's not my kind of poetry. I didn't really feel it. I'm not saying she's a bad poet, definitely not. It's just not my kind of poetry. So I might give it a go another time, but for now I just didn't finish it. Then we have My Darling from the Lions. I believe it's her debut poetry collection. This was really good. It was raw, it was straightforward. It was pretty tough at times to read this. Just so honest and creative. I believe there's also an audiobook available, so if you rather listen to audiobooks, give it a go. Oh, I just let them. Christopher Reed. I already knew this poet. I have some other collections of his poetry, so I knew what I was getting into. This wasn't a pleasant read, was very enjoyable. It's a lot about reflecting on when you were young, when you were a child, and check out the poem Mirrors. That was absolutely incredible. I really love that poem. It's just a fun collection to read. So we got this one. Well, I didn't hate it. I didn't really like it. It was just like mediocre. For me, at least. There was a good poem in there. It was titled Pride. I really like that one. I've read better. I've read worse. So it was okay, but I'm probably not going to reread it. Crush. I didn't finish it. But I'm almost finished. I didn't really enjoy this. And I kind of forgot what it was about, because that said something, right? I think it was a lot about relationships, but I don't really know and love pretty long poems. And they didn't really do that much to me, even though there were quite some interesting lines in here. I will continue reading this though, because it was alright. So this one I've reread because I just love this. I've already made a video about it, but I reread this book this summer. I go back to it a lot. So if you don't know about her, check her poetry out. She's an Italian poet. These works have been translated into English, but I feel like they're really strong and powerful and funny and heartbreaking. So yeah, this is one of my favorite collections. Oh, I've read this book called Grief is the Thing with Feathers. I've read this in one afternoon. This is such a great book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's a story about a grieving family. A grove visits them and helps them with their grieving. It was heartbreaking, but it was also very funny. Yeah, I had a great afternoon reading this book, and I'm gonna place this right here in my bookshelf, because that is the place the book deserves. Faith, Hope, and Carnage. This is a conversation book between Nick Cave and Sayano Hagen. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, probably not. I had this lying around, actually the hardback, I had this lying around for a couple of months. I started reading it but didn't really get to finish it, and I finished it this summer because there was a paperback available right now, and I absolutely love reading paperbacks. It's just so much easier to go to the beach or wherever and just grab a paperback with you. So I really like that. And the reason I bought this is because it is signed. I've been listening to Nick Cave for a very long time. Some new stuff in here that I didn't know about. And so it was definitely a great read. Really nice conversation book. So this is a collection I've been flipping through. It is a poetry collection, including 100 poems from various poets. So this is like an ideal book to just flip through and read a poem every now and then. Some of the poems I liked, some of the poems I didn't like, but you know, that was obvious. Yeah, you're probably not gonna like all of them, but you know, because it's personal taste, but really nice because you get the poem and then you get some inside information about the poem. So yeah, definitely a cool collection to have. So I found this one. I think I've read this at the beginning of summer. Portrait of My Body as a Crime to Commit. I've already talked about this on this channel. Well, I have to be honest, it kind of felt repetitive. Looking back at it now, it just wasn't a book that I connected with. It was very much written from the point of a woman's view. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but there were some beautiful poems in here. I remember that. I do think she's a good poet, because the writing was really good, but as I said, very repetitive, and I just really didn't connect with it. But that's just on me, right? So those were the books I've read this summer break. I already have some new poetry books lying around to read for the upcoming months. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you guys on board. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, friends.